Story, a podcast that celebrates women who made or are making their stamp on our society. I have with me my plumber, Larry.
No, it's still Joe Ortiz. Hello there.
Heard it both ways.
Yeah, well, it's wrong the other way.
Is it?
Yeah.
Well, last week we released 2 episodes in very different formats. I would like to continue the podcast in this manner. The beginning of the week we'll be releasing a deep dive research episode, followed by an episode later in the week with an interview format, showcasing women in all walks of life doing their thing. If you know someone who is a boss lady that you would like to hear an interview with, or if you have an episode suggestion, feel free to send me an email. I have the next few weeks of episodes planned out, but I would love to hear from you about future episode ideas. Now, let's get right to it. You ready, Joe?
I'm strapped in. Let's do it, Heather Ashley.
Our Her Story lesson takes place in the beautiful Dominican Republic, while it was under the hideous rule of Rafael Trujillo. Did I do that correct?
Rafael Trujillo.
Trujillo.
Yeah, it's like you gotta roll the double L.
Trujillo.
Yeah.
Trujillo.
We'll get it.
I'm trying.
We're gonna work on it. She's great.
The Mirabal Sisters, best known as Las Mariposas,
Las
Mariposas, or the Butterflies, were ordered dead on November 25th, 1960. How did we get here? Who were the Butterflies?
The sisters were Patria Mercedes Mirabal Reyes, Maria Argentina Minerva Mirabal Reyes, and Antonio Maria Teresa Mirabal Reyes. Patria, Minerva, and Maria. Just imagine that every time she says the sisters' names, just with the rolling of the R's. She's good.
Thank you.
We compliment each
Thank
other.
you.
That's why she hired me as a plumber.
Yes, exactly. Thanks, Larry. They had a 4th sister, the second eldest, Dee Dee, who did not participate in the open opposition of the way the government was being run. We're going to start with the youngest, Maria Teresa. Yeah?
Excellent.
Was born in 1935. She attended a Catholic boarding school, Colegio Inmaculada Concepcion in La Vega, then graduated from
Liceo de San Francisco de Macorís.
in 1954. It's like Google Translate a little bit.
Yes.
You know, when you say, Siri, how do I pronounce this?
That's why she keeps me around.
She went on to enroll in the University of Santo Domingo and study mathematics. Maria Teresa later married a man named Leonardo Guzman, and she later in life said, "Perhaps what we have most near is death, but that idea does not frighten me. We shall continue to fight for what is just." Moving on to the oldest, Patria, was born in 1924. She was sent to the Catholic boarding school as well and left 3 years early to marry a farmer, abandoning her initial trajectory of nunnery.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess that would happen if you're going to a Catholic boarding school.
Yeah, definitely. Dominicans have always been religious individuals, so this doesn't surprise me in the slightest. Continue, please.
Speaking from personal experience.
Absolutely. Sunday school until confirmation. That was very real. Yeah.
Something that I love about this is the man she left school to marry, Pedro Gonzalez, supported and aided her in challenging the Trujillo regime. He was absolutely part of that movement and supported everything that she was doing, which, like, you would hope would happen with a husband. Patria was the last of the 3 to fully join the cause. When she was on a religious retreat in 1959, she witnessed a massacre led by the regime and was forever changed when she watched a young boy die from gunshot wounds. She said, "We cannot allow our children to grow up in this corrupt and tyrannical regime. We have to fight against it, and I am willing to give up everything, even my life, if necessary." You know, I can't imagine being on what you think is going to be a peaceful religious retreat. You're there to worship. You're there to spend your time with your brothers and sisters in your faith, to then be completely obliterated by an attack.
He was a wicked man. Those were awful times in the Dominican Republic.
Yeah. Our most outspoken and fearless of the Las Mariposas, second youngest, Minerva. Born in 1926. Where do you think she went to school?
I mean, Colegio Inmaculada?
You guessed it.
Yeah? Nice.
She and Patria were actually in school together. They were only a couple years apart, I believe, like 2. Yeah, it looks like, yeah, they were about 2 years apart. They're all very close in age.
Oh, yeah.
And even as a young girl, Minerva was quite a rebel. She based her actions and beliefs on her own thoughts of what was right and wrong. Does that sound like anybody you know?
Does it sound like any strong-willed women that I could be possibly standing next to? You know? Shoot. Rings a bell. First word.
Just a little ding-ding.
Rhymes with feather.
Weather?
Yeah.
In the 1940s, Minerva met here we go again.
I got you. That's what I'm here for. Oh, his name was Pericles.
Oh.
His name was Well, you know.
I wasn't
sure.
He
was inspired.
Oh, then I can pronounce this one.
Well,
I thought
it's probably not Pericles. It's probably like Pericles.
Yes. Pericles.
Yeah, it's
Minerva met Pericles.
Yep.
Franco Ornes, known for his anti-Trujillo stance. Trujillo. I keep doing the wrong emphasis.
On the wrong syllable.
Yeah. So he, for his anti-Trujillo stance and being the founder of the Popular Socialist Party. Meeting Ornes, in addition to the leftist literature she consumed and the illegally intercepted radio stations from Cuba and Venezuela that objectively discussed the political climate in DR, solidified her beliefs. In 1954, Minerva enrolled at the University of Santo Domingo. Even though she had more than qualifying grades, Trujillo?
Gosh. You're good. You got it. He was a bad man anyway. We don't even want to get his name right. Yeah, he sucks.
It's fine.
Stupid. Awful.
Ordered she be barred from attending the university, primarily because of her thesis paper. Do you want to know what that was called?
Oh, man. I'm sure. Please, enlighten me on what these guys...
All right.
Enlighten me, please.
So, the principle of the irretroactiveness of laws and Dominican jurisprudence. Basically, the whole thing was about basic human rights, and she made suggestions for changes in the government. And based on that, he was like, no.
Yeah, I'm sure that wasn't well received.
Sorry, lady.
Yeah.
You don't get to do this.
No.
Can't keep her down, though, because despite his efforts to thwart her, Minerva later returned to the university and graduated on October 28th, 1957. Good thing, too, because she met her husband, Manuel Tavares Justo. He was incredibly supportive, active in the fight. He's doing his thing right along with her. Trujillo.
Nope.
No, Trujillo. God, Trujillo. God, it's just not going to stick. Would give order. I'm going to call him TJ. TJ.
Nope. Don't do that. Don't humanize the dictator.
Fine.
He's like a homeboy. He's like, yo, my man TJ. No. Raphael. You call him Raphael. That was his first name.
Okay.
Raphael.
We'll call him Raphael.
Ralph.
Ooh.
Ralphie.
Ralph.
No, Ralph.
Ralph. Okay, Ralph.
No,
Raphael.
Yeah, that's better.
Raphael would give orders to arrest and harass her. Maria Teresa, her sister, also endured Raphael's direct orders for her arrest and harassment. Minerva said, "It is a source of happiness to do whatever can be done for our country that suffers so many anguishes. It is sad to stay with arms crossed." So let's rewind a little bit and we can look at the first major run-ins that the Mirabal family had with El Jefe, Raphael. In mid-October of 1949, Raphael held a party in his mansion in San Cristobal to commemorate Columbus's discovery of the Americas and honor the people of the Espaillat province. The Mirabal family received their invitation in person by Antonio del Maza, the governor of Moca, and Juan Rojas, the senator of Espaillat. Don Enrique Mirabal, their father, Patria's husband, Minerva, Didi, and Didi's husband were all in attendance. It was an outdoor garden party. Do you think Dwight was there announcing everyone's entrance?
Dressed up to the nines in his glasses with his hair parted. Yes, absolutely. Yes. Thank you for that.
Yes,
Quick office segue.
Yes.
That was really good.
Now, quickly, this garden party was cut short by a torrential downpour. The Mirabal family took this opportunity to make their exit, as most normal people would do
They got lucky.
if it's storming
Yeah.
for an outdoor party. Why would you not leave?
If there were no tents, especially if there were no tents. Excuse me.
You know, muddy. It's whatever. You know, it's October.
It's not what I
it's
planned.
It's probably humid.
Rude.
It's not a good time.
Selfish.
You know, and
I
so
want to ruin my clothes.
you know, Raphael, being a big fat ego baby, took their departure as a lack of respect. Obviously, you know, because like, how rude.
Yeah.
He called the military post to have their vehicle stopped once he noticed that they had left. The family of 6, however, had already passed. So that was, you know, avoided momentarily for that confrontation. Now, a few days later, it was advised to Don Enrique to write a letter of apology to Raphael after the Irish goodbye incident, and he obliged. He was like, you know, fair. I get it. I'll do it. I don't want to cause more trouble. Pettywop Ralph wasn't satisfied. So the next day, Don Enrique was jailed in Santo Domingo. A day later, Minerva and Donachia were also arrested. This was another member of the party. Now, Minerva was taken daily to Fortaleza Ozama.
Yes.
To be interrogated about her political activities. She was asked to write a letter of apology to Raphael. What do you think she did?
I mean...
What do you think she said?
Like, she just wrote... She just
said no.
She didn't write him anything? She didn't write, like, a hate letter? She
just absolutely refused. Because she's sitting there
good.
being interrogated. And she was like, I left a party.
No, right. I just figured if she was so spoken with the word, with the penmanship, she might have...
silence is even a better...
Stronger message to send.
She was like,
exactly. She had no time for the writing.
After being detained for a number of days, the Mirabal family, using their standing in the community, were able to use their connections with friends and extended family to broker the release of Don Enrique, Donachea, and Minerva. With Minerva leading the charge, the sisters established the group Movement of the 14th of June. This was named after the date of the massacre that Patria witnessed. So this really just catapulted them into this further act of, I don't want to say rebellion, I guess activism.
Yeah, their movement.
You know,
Yeah.
It propelled their movement further.
For sure.
The group consisted of a large number of young middle-class Dominicans opposing Raphael's regime. I would like to think that I would have been a part of that.
It wasn't safe because they had secret police, so you actually didn't know at the time who was really a police
spoiling
officer.
the story.
Well, because I know so much about it just from having, my parents are Dominican, my family's Dominican, so there's just so much content that I'm familiar with, and obviously it's mostly horrible because this man was a wicked individual.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
I don't want to steal your thunder as you were. Continue.
No. So the group would distribute pamphlets with the names of people killed by Raphael's regime, as well as how to construct guns and bombs should they need them in the future. Minerva's underground name was Las Mariposas. So that was hers, and it was then adopted by the sisters as a whole.
Oh, her name was La Mariposa, and then it was adopted and they became Las Mariposas.
Yes. I should have said that better.
No, that's what I'm here for. Co-host.
After a meeting of the movement of the 14th of June on January 10th, 1960.
That's a tongue twister for
you. Yeah, it really is. Maria Teresa and Minerva, along with more than 100 members, were arrested. It can only be assumed that the regime knew of this meeting because everyone in attendance was arrested. So there had to have been some secret police involved in that. Maria Teresa and Minerva were thankfully not tortured when they were taken into custody. Their husbands were involved in the group as well, and all 3 sisters' husbands were incarcerated at La Victoria Penitentiary in Santo Domingo. Raphael was being increasingly criticized internationally, and when the Organization of American States in 1960 came forward, Maria Teresa and Minerva were released, along with the other women who were incarcerated. He later freed the men who had been jailed on only suspicion, but the husbands of the butterflies were not. On November 25th, 1960, the sisters went to the prison to visit their husbands. On their way home after the visit, they were stopped by some of Raphael's lackeys. Patria, Minerva, Maria Teresa, and their driver, Rufino de la Cruz, were viciously attacked and clubbed to death, shoved in the back of their Jeep, and then said Jeep was run off of a mountain to make their deaths look like an accident.
Awful.
Yeah.
That's just, I mean...
That's horrific. That's so cowardly, too. What a coward. What a coward.
Yeah, I mean, there's no excuse. That's the lowest of the low, really. He's a scumbag. He was a scumbag. He was a piece,
he was a piece of shit. Yeah. And he couldn't... The fact that he couldn't even own up to it and say, like, yeah, I did this. I just hate it so much.
Trujillo is also the same person who tried to... he was unsuccessful, but he attempted to assassinate the Venezuelan president in 1960, Romario Betancourt. He was unsuccessful in that attempt, and so really it just shows that he has no self-control. He was a malicious male who was just trying to, further his agenda. He was also U.S. backed when the Dominican Republic had occupied the territory for a period of time. So let's not forget that.
Yeah, that's not great.
He was, Oops. Oh, well.
Well, Raphael was assassinated.
Good.
6 months later.
Excellent.
Whoop, whoop,
Best
whoop.
part of the story.
General Pupo.
Mm-hmm.
Pupo?
Yeah, Pupo.
General Pupo.
Señor Pupo.
General Pupo Roman admitted that the sisters were killed by members of Raphael's secret police force. Because up until that point, they had just been denying the whole thing, saying it was a tragic accident. Look, their Jeep ran off a mountain. Like, oh no, car burned up.
Yeah, that makes it like
it's
it was
ridiculous,
an
which
accident.
everyone knew it wasn't.
Clearly.
Everyone knew.
Clearly.
So the members of the secret police force that were involved were
Emilion Estrada Maleta, Alfonso Cruz Valeria, Roman Emilio Rojas, Siracao de la Rosa, and the chief's right-hand man, Victor Peña Rivera.
And his right-hand man. But, like, overkill much?
Yeah, it's why, like...
That's just...
That shows how much of a threat that he thought they were.
Yeah.
If he had to send, like, a bunch of his lackeys and goonies to, like, just kill these three women and the driver.
Exactly.
Like, no, he knew that they were a national threat, and he took them out in
They were a threat to him. They were a threat to what he thought was his right to...
It sounded like he was a weak and fragile individual. I don't know. You have to tell me more about the story. Maybe it changes. I don't know. I'm a glass half full kind of guy. Let's see what happens.
Well, do you remember our long-lost sister, Dee Dee?
Yes, the fourth one.
So she lived a long life and died of natural causes on February 1st of 2014.
It's sad, but at least she made it as far
and,
as she did.
She wasn't initially... She wasn't part of that initial cause, understandably, and her husband was fearful for her and their family, their livelihood. So they, made a really tough decision, I'm sure. And luckily, though, that meant there was a sister to carry on their name, carry on their legacy, make sure they were remembered. So she was the founder and director of the Mirabal Museum, and it was located in the house that the butterflies lived in for the last 10 months of their lives. Nice. In Sausalito, Dominican Republic.
Wow. Well, I mean, I'm really glad that she was still around to be able to tell their story. I think it's important for certain tragedies like that to not be lost in time, especially when it was, in the past 70 years, 60 years, like we've had, it's incredible that a dictator like that was able to take control of a territory that was just so close to the United States, and all of this just was swept under the rug. They didn't really intervene.
And it wasn't until the, late 50s, really, that international outrage was was really coming forth, that people were like, look at what's going on, look at this. You can't continuously turn a blind eye. And that's something that I love about these women, these sisters, because they refused to turn a blind eye. And you know, like I said, I would like to think that I would join the cause, but it's so difficult to look at it and be like, there's a very high probability that your life will be ended as soon as you declare outwardly, continually say, this isn't right, what you're doing is wrong, and people need to listen. There
was no blueprint for, you know, the Mirabal Sisters and La Pola. Like, they are the blueprint. They are the foundation for these strong-willed women in Latin America to take a stand against these awful regimes that really tore apart the communities, you know, dismantled democracy and just civilization as a whole.
Do you have anything more to say?
Actually, yes.
Do it.
If you would like any more information about the sisters, totally check out the book that was written by Julia Alvarez. It was called In the Time of Butterflies. It's a very dark and captivating tale about these four sisters who went through treacherous times in the country. Also, check out the movie too. It isn't as it's just as engaging. Michelle Rodriguez is in it, if you're familiar with the actress. So check out the book, In the Time of Butterflies, also the movie. And do you have anything you'd like to add, Heather Ashley?
No, I think that about wraps this second episode up. Thank you all so much for tuning in again. Tune back in this Friday. I have an interview with the cowgirl mermaid musician herself, Lorena Lee. She's a lot of fun. It's such a great interview. She's got a lot of insight for musicians and just anyone trying to live their dreams out. So until then,